There are moments in the life of a tester when we encounter another tester who has a lot of things to share, and there are some things which you find in common. My guest today, as a part of Test to Speak, is somebody exactly like that. You're watching Test to Speak Season 2 with me, your host Brijesh Dev, and welcome to the Test Chat YouTube channel. So without any further ado, I want to introduce my guest to you. It is from Malaysia. I bring to you Jency Stella. Welcome, Jency.
Thank you, Brijesh. That was a quite interesting intro. Okay.
So, Jency, how are you feeling today?
I'm good, Brijesh. How about you?
I'm pretty good. So, like I was telling in the introduction, I came across certain things about you when I started learning about you. Saw your work on LinkedIn, and then we started interacting as a part of the Test Chat community. What I observed was that, back in the day, probably I was also somewhat similar. Okay, going through similar sort of transitions, similar challenges, and I was like, this girl reminds me of my days in the past. So there is a connection there. Certain things that we have learned, that we have spoken about, okay, in our conversations. So there are commonalities. Okay, there are challenges that you want to overcome, and then be more expressive. And so I had similar challenges in the past, so I can exactly relate to it. So that's something which made me learn a little more about you, and here you are trying to answer my questions as my guest. So welcome once again. So
Thank you.
before we get any further, I'm curious, how did you start off as a tester?
Like every testers, I would not say that I accidentally landed up in testing. No, it's not like that. After my engineering degree, I didn't get placed in any company actually. So I was there at home almost around 3 months after my exams, final year exams and all, just looking out for jobs here and there, reaching out to my seniors or, some relatives or something like that, all reference, like usually all the like freshers used to do. I was in that stage only. Um, Luckily, one of our relative, I would call him as a well-wisher actually, he guided me saying that why don't you give some course in testing, because he knows that I'm not a person who like programming as such. So he knows about me very well. So he was into the tech field that time, and he was saying that why don't you start in some why don't waste your time, just go and take some training as such in testing. That's how I landed up to Seed Infotech, where they were offering diploma in software testing course. So I enrolled myself in that, started my 3 months of training there. Almost when I was about to complete that course, luckily I got off campus in one of the good MNC, I would say. I got placed there, and I was into that. But the goal actually for that particular course was I need to finish my ISTQB CTFL exam. But since I got my offer already, I didn't sit for the exam. I just completed that course. And for that course, they had some final exams. I just did that. I didn't give my CTFL that time, and then landed up into MNC. Like all MNCs, even I had my usual, 3 to 6 months of training period where they trained me basically into development core stuff. To be specific, it was all about ETL process, Informatica, Business Objects, Oracle. They were training in all these tools. So I learned everything. But since I had done the software testing course, my mind was all into the testing field. Why did they put me in development actually? But anyhow, since I got my project, I started going for it. And, they, like usual, they were having some interview even to enter the project. I cleared the interview, and luckily I got the project as well. But after landing into the project, since I was a fresher, they didn't put me directly into the development work. Maybe it was a luck, I would say. It was just like a maintenance project, basically. So there were some change requests that used to come here and there, and they need people to test that particular change request when a developer is like doing it. So they put me there. That's how ETL testing came into picture. That's how it all started off, and I was totally into that. And since I was like okay, comfortable there, I didn't jump into development after that. few things. If they give me some maintenance work, it was not pure development. Basically, it will be all about testing using Informatica, Business Objects, and Oracle. It was all, playing around with those tools and testing the stuffs which the seniors used to develop. That's where all my journey started off with testing, British. Yeah.
Cool. So ETL testing, your specialization.
Yeah.
So, so we have seen, over the years, a growing demand for ETL testing. While there is a demand, do you also see that there is enough supply in this area, or do you think more and more testers actually need to learn this and get into the field of ETL testing?
If you ask me this, because ETL testing, I think the showcase for this particular specific ETL testing is not that wide as other fields are there in the testing. That's what I felt. So if somebody is asking, I have heard people saying that if I say I started my career from ETL testing, I literally have seen people saying, what is ETL testing? They don't know actually what exactly is it. Whereas if you ask them, like, tool-based testing, that is like people call it automation right now, Selenium or be it anything related to API, Postman or something like that, people are aware about that. But when it comes to ETL testing, even the requirements are less and the awareness of that particular field is also very low. That's what I have seen in industry right now. But basically, if you ask me, we need to share this information to the people right now. People should know about it. So showcasing this particular field is of utmost importance in a testing field. I would say that.
Yeah. I mean, I've also had a similar sense looking around the industry as such, Now, first of all, there has been an overgeneralization of testing as a craft. Okay.
Yeah.
People treat it as a part of development. People, treat testers as a part of development team, which is fine. It's still okay. But they think testing, it's okay if we do it. If we don't do it, then also it's fine, kind of.
Yes.
It's more often than not an afterthought, like I always say. And it's so easy for people to forget about it or not even think about it at all. Then comes, this whole thing about automation. Yes, automation is required. Nobody is denying that. Okay, automation will make life easy. It will help increase the productivity of the tester. It will make them more efficient. Absolutely spot on. Okay, but if you see the trend, everybody is trying to do the same kind of things over and over again.
Okay. True.
Okay, large percentage of the testers are still scratching the surface and are still looking at UI testing, Selenium, which still continues to be one popular area. UI is one great entry point into automation testing, but if people keep sticking to that, then there is a problem.
Right?
People are not going further down. Okay, having said that, yes, people have now started looking at API. They start talking about API. So there are tools, there are ways. A lot of people are doing some great work, and a big shout out to Priscilla and to what was the Priyanka? Yeah. How did I miss her name? She's going to shoot me. there are so many names going on in my head. Okay, so Priscilla and Priyanka, the two P's. I mean, they have done such an incredible job with regards to the entire API testing segment, and there are a lot of people doing some great work. Okay.
Yeah.
So API testing, people are understanding more and more. Now, I also saw recently, Beth Marshall start a series on API testing with Postman, and she's been doing a lot of YouTube videos, which is again another cool thing. So people are looking deeper into that subject. But then,
sorry to interrupt you here. Actually, even I am right now into API. I've moved from ETL to API.
Yeah. So I was actually going to come to that. I know about your journey. So basically the point that I'm trying to make here is these areas which are essential areas have now become pockets of specialization. Say
Exactly.
API, say ETL, say backend testing, testing at the app code layer, and this actually puzzles me as to why these have to be segregated and people need to pay special attention. Why not treat them as they should be? Because if people start testing in the right layer, they will automatically encounter these layers. So when
Exactly.
you talk about automation, if you go beyond UI, you will automatically discover the APIs. You will automatically discover that, okay, you have to test the app code also. You have to
Yeah.
test the backend interactions also. And that's where you will realize the potential of ETL testing. You will realize the potential of performance testing. Then when you're talking about APIs and stuff like that, security testing again becomes prominent. So all these things that we're talking about, and then talking about scaling up your automation, so scalability will automatically become a factor there.
Yes.
So you know I completely agree with the point that you made, that yeah, there needs to be a focus. So in your opinion, how do you think can that focus be made more prominent?
For this, I think I'm not sure like how would you take these terms as, but we have many communities around right now. But the showcasing factor for other tools that you just now mentioned is more in the community rather than ETL testing. Because I have been connected with few of the communities right now. But when I see the blogs or the articles that are like published in the community, it's more of the trending topics right now. They are not focusing on this ETL part as such right now. So maybe if community gives steps ahead to give a hand to showcase this particular ETL testing, it will reach out to more people. Because right now, specifically in testing, if you ask me, many people are like looking out for communities to join in and expand their networks, or maybe know gain their knowledge or something like that. Many people are getting connected via communities. So if community steps ahead to share, expose this particular ETL testing, it will be like easy for to spread the word of ETL testing. That's what I think about it.
You've just given me an idea about about a new series that I can probably get started. Okay.
Yeah, you can,
So,
Vijesh, because
no, we should,
my intention was also
and
that actually.
obviously, very smart, and obviously, without saying, you are the chosen one for doing that.
Yeah,
Of course,
all
I
right.
can pair you up with another tester I know who has good prowess in ETL testing, and
Oh,
that is
okay.
and that is Himani Yadav. She is
Mm-hmm.
also done a considerable amount of ETL testing, has expertise. She is a
I
subject
see.
matter expert in her
Uh-huh.
area. Okay,
Okay.
and within
Mm-hmm.
her organization, she is a
Mm-hmm.
specialist in her area within the healthcare sector. Now, healthcare is huge, but
Uh-huh.
within the sector that she's working on, she is the subject matter expert and does a lot of
Mm-hmm.
ETL testing herself. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it will be a good combination for both of you to get connected and maybe come
Sure,
up with a
sure. Why
series.
not? Yeah.
So I know that this interview is getting recorded and this is going on record, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm quite serious and I definitely can think of ways and ideas. So I will get the two of you connected and then maybe you both can find
For
ways
sure.
of doing this. Okay.
Yeah, sure, sure. Yeah.
And what's the good part of it is that um, I may sound a little feminist when I say this,
Mm-hmm.
but at
Mm-hmm.
the helm of all these initiatives are women, which makes me feel really happy. Whether you talk about Priscilla, Priyanka, yourself, then I just spoke about Imani. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it's all women that we are talking about. So hats off to you girls for doing such great job and
Thank you.
showing us the way. So that's good. Now,
Yeah.
in the experience that you have gained over the years, have you seen the role of a tester evolved? basically?
Tester, can you pardon me, Brijesh? I didn't get your question. Can you come again?
So initially, when you joined, testers were limited to doing certain things.
Yes.
Now
yes.
they are doing X plus whatever they were doing.
Yeah.
Do you also have the same perception?
Yes, I do have it, because initially when I started my career, the activity or the task that was given to me was like, it would be literally like they'll say that expected versus actual. You should only focus on that. There's nothing beyond that you should think. That's what and being a fresher, you obviously have to listen to them. There's no choice for you. You cannot speak out. There are much of, people around who are all seniors, and you're all alone there, and you need to face such big people. And when they're saying you cannot question back them also. Because you're in a very small place where you cannot speak out. And there were many challenges around me that time, which I would like to talk in this call as well. So that's the reason I was very quiet at that time. But right now I'm like 8+ years experienced, but it took almost 4 to 5 years for me to realize that you should stop that thinking of expected versus actual, and be a person to evaluate your product. I learned it. It took almost 5 years for me to come into that stage, because to gain that kind of freedom to speak as a tester, it took some time for me. And I think every tester would have faced this, frankly speaking, not only me. Yeah.
A lot of testers do. Yeah. I can relate to it. While when I started my testing journey, things were different. There was no automation versus manual. There was no agile. It was all waterfall, and we were taught SDLC and one particular way of thinking, and then ISTQB was the only thing, and people used to speak about it, and people used to get certified and flaunt their certificates and all that. And I used to sit and wonder. How many people have got certified through ISTQB and have actually implemented what they have learned. Okay. And I asked this question within my own organization at that point of time. So, I was bluntly told, you should mind your business. Do what you're doing and let others do what they're doing. Why are you interested in knowing whether people have actually implemented ISTQB or not? And I'm like, why are you insisting on people getting that certificate? That was my question. So for me, I realized that it is just a tick in the box. People just want to have it. And even now, it is the same. And my perception about ISTQB exams have not changed. Yeah, there is a lot of content. There is a lot of material. There are a lot of things to learn. There are a lot of things to which people can actually implement in their projects. But how many people actually go ahead and do it is the question that I have. Right? So in my opinion, also, I agree with the things that you said. There has been an evolution, okay, in testing as well as in testers. Okay. The way we used to test versus the way we test now.
Yep.
There is a difference, of course, because now it's agile and DevOps, and I don't know what is probably AI/ML coming next, and saying, hey, testers, you don't have to do anything. AI will take care of it.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, anyways, moving on, I am now curious to understand. You mentioned the word challenges. So I'm curious to learn about some of those challenges that you faced, if you don't mind sharing.
Sure, Brijesh. Before I begin with my story, I saw your post yesterday in LinkedIn, and I was so happy reading it. Literally 2 minutes of time, I was emotionally stubborn. I was a bit silent that time. I couldn't speak. Actually, I was just recollecting all those days, past days of mine, how exactly I started my journey, how I am right now. I myself was seeing in the mirror, and I'm saying, is this the same Gen Z who was there, initial days when I started my career? Am I the same person right now who's so confident right now? I can face the camera so confidently. This was all things were like running around when I saw your article. Thank you so much for that, writing it boldly. I would really appreciate that, Brijesh. Thank you so much. Um, to relate to that
It was
point,
just not to interrupt your chain of thought, but you know it was purely from the heart, because for the past uh, few days I've been experiencing those symptoms, PTSD or whatever you might call it, and I had to bring it out. And I just thought that at least this post will create an awareness.
very
Okay,
true.
people need to be looked at with respect.
Mhm.
And I don't know how far successful I'm going to be, but this is just a beginning, because
Mm,
now
mm.
I've also thought of a roadmap which probably is outside the purview of this conversation. Otherwise, the conversation goes in some other direction. But I'm now keen on hearing your story.
Yes, sure, British. Like I said, I landed up in a good MNC. I would not complain the company or something like that. It's just the people around in the company who are making the company picturized in that manner. Um, I landed up in a good project. The project was very good. There were areas where I could learn and explore myself. But unluckily, the team that I got was, pulling me down. I couldn't showcase myself, what I was and what I could do. I never could expose myself there. That was the point. Why I'm saying is, like, when I was put into that project, the things that they asked me to do, if I do a step ahead, I was literally told that stop. No need to think beyond that. Just do what we are saying. And there was one situation where a task was given to me. It was a small change request, basically. It was not related to testing. It was something related to a development task, which I was not very confident to do it. But although I tried my level best, being a fresher, I took support from my seniors and I did the task whatever they told me. End of the day, when the code review was happening, I had made certain flaws in that. So I was expecting that my seniors would, like, appreciate me for what I have done, and they would correct me in areas where I need to. But they didn't do that. Like, they literally took me to a meeting room. There were like around 4 to 5 people sitting all together, all the seniors in that team. And I was the only girl standing there. And they were reviewing the code in front of the laptop, and they were like questioning here and there, like popping up so many questions in front of me. I was literally stunned. Still now I can imagine that scenario. It's still fresh in my mind. Everyone was questioning here and there. All technical questions were like bouncing up, and I was literally silent at that moment. I couldn't speak anything. And there was one person who straight away told me that, I'm very courageous to say this statement. Be it like, if that person is also seeing this video, it's okay for me right now, because I'm confident now. He literally told me that, why don't you get married soon and take care of your family? You're just a girl, you're not capable to do all these tasks. Why don't you just sit at your home, get married to a well-settled guy, look after your babies, cook nice food for your family, and be happy with your life? Why are you, taking the pain of coming to MNC company and bothering us as well? I
Really?
literally, it was this statement,
Oh
British. I'm not
my
like,
God.
seriously. And I'm not like, just to gain attention of people. I'm not saying this. I have experienced it. I know the pain that it took. Like, I literally cried in front of those 7 to 8 men around there. None of them spoke for me. Even my manager was sitting there. Even he didn't say anything. I was literally crying, and I said, I'm so sorry. I just told them sorry, and I left the meeting room, and no one was there to console me that time. I was all alone there, and it took me to such a dilemma where I thought of quitting my job. That point of itself, I thought of putting down my papers, and I decided, like, no, MNC is not my cup of tea, and this IT field is also not cup of my tea. So let's quit this and continue some higher studies, or change the path that I'm right now. But it was my fate, or I don't know. Within 2 to 3 weeks, my marriage was also got fixed. So that also, triggered me. Like, okay, even God decided that, okay, you're fit only to, get married and look after your family. That was my mentality. But I'm thankful to God. I got a nice partner. He understood me very well. I didn't share this seen actually to anyone. Even my parents don't know. Even if I share this video to them, they'll be listening this for the first time. They also don't know about all these scenes. I just told him that this is the scenario and planning to quit my job. He just told me, just take a pause. Don't overthink or don't complicate the stuff. Take a pause. If you want to put down your papers, it's okay, but don't take the decision that you want to quit the IT industry. Maybe this company is not suitable for you or it's not comfortable for you. Let's look out from some other opportunities and try to prove yourself. That's what the confidence that he gave me. And I felt so blessed that okay, God has sent an angel to me, that's the reason he's giving me this direction. Within few months, I literally quit the job. I decided that I don't want to stay in that company because this will not only be a stopper for my professional journey, it will be a burden for my personal life as well. Mentally, I'll be down. I won't be able to face my life in a positive way. That's what I felt. And I took a bold decision that I'll quit my job. And I quit my job, and my marriage was also like all finalized. And since my husband was working in Malaysia, we had to move to Malaysia at once. So we came here. After coming here also, I had few struggles of searching job and all this stuff. But that time also my husband was very supportive. He used to, motivate me every day in and out. Try to apply as much as you can. Try applying it. Even if you fail the interviews, it's okay. But never lose your hope. Try to apply. You will not believe, to every interview, he'll be coming along. He'll take a leave from his office days. He'll come along with me until the interview gets finished. He'll be there waiting for me to motivate me, because he knows my mind of status, how I was, how I quit my previous job, and how I am right now. So he gave me all the confidence. By God's grace, I got a nice company here in Malaysia. I started my journey all again freshly as an ETL tester here itself. And that company was quite good. I had a very good team. The team there was like very supportive. They respected my job that I was doing. Even if I comment something or even if I go wrong somewhere, there was somebody to guide me. They never left me alone. The team was quite comfortable for me, and I tried to explore more. I was there in that company. I was there around 3 to 4 years, and then I moved to the current company where me, Priscilla, we all are working together, Millennium IT Services. And this company is also a very fast-growing company and very quite like supporting company, I would say. And here right now, I have moved my journey. I thought of taking a switch from ETL to API, and right now I'm exploring in API. And I think the 5 years that I spent in Malaysia here, this changed my life totally. I was in India because I became very confident. I started connecting with people in LinkedIn, started being engaging in community contribution and all those stuff, being so confident. And I'm not a kind of person who speak boldly, but right now I'm speaking boldly. It's all because of this 5 years of journey in Malaysia, because all this happened just because of the confidence that few companies gave, and few companies didn't give me in India. If I would have been stuck there, my life would have gone in a different direction. So I'm thankful to God, and thankful to my husband. Yeah.
Excellent. I think this is a much more powerful story than what I wrote. And I would definitely want people to listen to what you said, and hats off to your husband for supporting you through this, for taking care of you, and you are definitely much more confident, and you're facing the camera, and in the interactions that we have had, I am definitely confident that you are up for much bigger things in life. So I am glad you left that organization, that toxic environment, because a lot of people have told me, and I am passing this message to you: nothing is worth your mental health. Okay, and if that is getting affected, then that's not the place to be. And sometimes people are so insensitive, outrightly insensitive. Okay, I said in my post that it's very easy for me to dismiss it like saying, okay, lack of empathy or whatever. Okay. But, this gross insensitivity on the part of everybody who was sitting in that room when you got these lines is such a shameful thing. And if those people are listening, you said that you're not scared. Hats off to you for saying that. And I'm telling this, that if those people are really listening to this interview, then, I must tell them that it is the worst kind of behavior that somebody can actually do with somebody else. Okay. It's, you are trying to, trouble somebody, harass somebody mentally by saying these lines. You don't become a hero by saying things like that. Okay, by saying to a girl, "Oh, go get married and have children," and no, you don't become a hero by saying that. You are. This is just an example of a regressive mindset in the society, which is creeping into the corporate environment, and this mindset needs to change. You know, uh, you know. I see a lot of problems with the industry. Okay, and I'm not scared to call it out loud. I see that there is a lack of women leaders in the testing space.
Very true.
Why?
Yes.
Why? My question is why? Because women do not get that opportunity. Again,
Yes.
why? Are they not skilled? Definitely not. Look around yourself and you'll find so many women doing such a brilliant job. Then why are they not allowed to progress? Because there are people with a regressive mindset blocking the progress of these women. And I'm saying this out loud on this recorded interview. And those people who want to oppose my thought can talk to me directly. But I'm sincerely thankful to you, Jansi, for sharing the story, because this is much more powerful than what I wrote. What I wrote was nothing, probably. When I hear this, I really was actually shivering. Okay, and anyways, I mean we can go on and on about that topic.
Yeah.
But the message is that you have shown your strength, you've shown your character, you've shown your determination, and with the kind of support that you've had from your husband,
Yeah.
you have turned things around, and you are destined to do better things in life. So
Yeah.
a huge congratulations to you for beating that mindset and for setting yourself up for something big, and a huge round of applause for your husband for supporting you through this.
I'll also clap for him.
Yeah, incredible. He deserves it. He deserves it. Okay,
Yeah.
and we need men like him to actually stand up and support their partners or their daughters, sisters, mothers, whoever, and wives and whoever it is, and stick with them and show them the right way, and that's the thing. I mean, it's strange that this is a Test to Speak interview and we are talking about this subject, but this is a very interesting subject. So I'll try to draw our attention back to testing. And I want to ask you this, okay? So when people talk about testing in general, I mentioned that there is an overgeneralization of the craft that has been done. Now, if somebody wants to start a career in testing, okay, I'm studying in the final year. Suppose I'm studying in the final year of my engineering, and I want to pick up testing as a profession. What would be your advice to me?
Firstly, you cannot, ask them to push them to testing field as such. Maybe you can just share your ideas like related to the testing. What exactly is it all about? Because normally when freshers pass out, not only freshers, even like all the colleges, I would say they have the mentality like if MNC is coming for any campus interview or something like that, everybody should be placed in the development project. That's the mentality that colleges have right now. Not now, even when I passed out, the colleges had the same mentality. No one knows actually there is a different domain inside in an IT firm testing called, like, no one knows about it. Even now, I think people will not be aware like there is a different domain in testing and you can work in there and you get equally paid like developers as well. And there's a stupid mentality, I would say, like developers get paid more and testers pay less. There are companies, I would say that, but it's your capability as well. Like if you're showing your positive aspects and all, company do pay you. I have a live example over here. Companies never keep you aside from the developers. If you're doing your job very well, you'll get the payoff for that. So that's one misconception I think even freshers should also keep in their mind. Like, don't think that testing is a job where you will be paid less or you will be downgraded or something like that. It's only your skill set that you need to keep improvising in testing when it comes to testing. There is also another misconception, like if you know some tool, only then you can fit into testing. Tool, I mean, like it's a Selenium or a Postman tool. You need to know that, then only you'll fit into testing. It's not like that. If you want to choose your career in testing, improve your analytical skills, improve your logical thinking. That's what is needed when you are into the testing profession. You need to think the product that is in front of you from a customer's perspective, how the customer will be looking the product. If he is looking at the product, it should be of highly quality product. There should be not any flaws. So you should have a mentality of an user in when your product is given to you. So improvise all those skill set if you're planning to move into a testing firm rather than into a development firm. That's what my advice to the freshers out there, because recently last week we had the alumni meetup for our college, and there were many alumni who were there on the call, and I think none of them were in the testing profession. According to me, all were in development and as such. So I was literally thinking to write to my college that I want to give a guest lecture or something like that, and I want to speak to the fellow students out there, like what exactly is testing all about, and need to share them the importance of testing field that is also needed for an IT company, for IT company basically. So you cannot skip without testing, you cannot release your product. So don't think that testing is a downrated domain or something like that. I'm planning to do that, and I'll soon do that actually. I'll kickstart with my college first, and then maybe start my journey in that. I have a long vision of that actually, to mold students basically. We are doing many things in community, yeah. But when it comes, but when it comes to freshers, I don't think so. There is someone to guide them. Many alumni should open up, like, share your experience with them, what exactly is all about testing and how you should think testing. Not only, it's not tool focused. It should be more of thinking focused. That's my concern about testing. Yeah.
Yeah, I know some testers doing that and doing that really well. Santosh Tuppar for one, he does it. He goes to college, talks to testers. I know Ajay Balamurugdas does it. Okay, he goes to colleges, he talks to tester, to engineering students and motivates them. So I know that in there are testers who are doing that, but you're absolutely right. There is a bigger demand for us testers to actually go to these colleges and talk to these young, budding engineers and tell them the realities about testing.
Yes,
there is a bigger demand, and the potential is huge. Because what happens is, unfortunately, our university curriculum does not pay much attention to testing, so people do not know what it is.
Exactly.
And secondly, what happens is, because of the regressive mindset towards testing in the industry itself, because in the industry, a lot of people believe testing is just click, 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 click. Which it is not. People would say, oh, what are you? You are a tester? What do you do? Is that even a job? Some people will say. And on top of that, if you do not have any skills with tools, they're like, oh, you are a manual tester. What do you do?
Manual and automation.
So this kind of mindset prevails in the industry. And the problem is, the longer this kind of mindset prevails, the more and more problems we will always have.
Very true.
And it will take generations before we change the actual mindset of the people, because this is somehow crept in the society so deep, that it is difficult for us to stand up and say, hey, I should probably do this differently.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, this was your advice for young testers. Now, what is your advice for experienced testers who come and say, "Oh, I've been doing testing for 6 years, 7 years. I'm stuck in manual testing. What should I do?" What should they do?
Manual testing. You yourself use the term manual testing.
Yeah. No, because people come and tell me that.
Yeah.
People come and tell me that. If I ask them what is your specialization, they'll say manual testing.
Okay.
Then I have to tell them that there is nothing called manual testing. But this is a problem because people have branded themselves as manual testers.
Exactly.
How much ever we fight and tell them that, no, there is nothing called manual testing, people keep saying, "Oh, I'm a manual tester." And if I ask them, what makes you think so? And they don't have an answer.
They're blank.
Yeah, because, in all honesty, the automation framework, whatever is being designed, and this is for those who do the manual versus automation thingy. The automation framework that is designed did not come up on its own. Somebody had to code it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And somebody had to manually, to speak in their language, somebody had to manually type the code. So are you going to call it manual automation testing? As Faiz, my good friend, he terms it. He calls it manual automation testing.
Manual automation, yes.
Yeah. So are you willing to call it that? That is rubbish, right? And that is why this whole debate about manual versus automation is meaningless. It is testing with tools and testing without tools.
Without tools. That's it.
Even if you brand manual testers as testing without tools, that is wrong. They also use tools.
Exactly.
The purpose is different. Yeah, if you are talking only from an execution perspective, that somebody has to click the buttons with his or her own hand, and if you are calling that particular activity of making mouse clicks and entering values and all of that as manual testing, then that is a very, 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 very limited purview of testing that you have. And just because of that one act of somebody clicking the mouse or entering the data physically, you cannot term the whole thing as manual testing.
Exactly.
I have seen, YouTubers with 50K, 100K followers giving out courses saying manual testing course. And I was like, what? What are you even talking about? A course in manual testing? Really? So it is quite bizarre. Okay.
Yep.
And anyways, so I am somebody with 6 years of experience, and I brand myself as a manual tester. I come to you and say, Genzi, I am a manual tester, and I'm not getting a job outside. What should I do? What is your response?
The job perspective, although we have the statements, Brijesh, like manual automation, you spoke of all the points I would cover. But just to enhance, or maybe you to know the tools that you would like to explore into, let's say for API now, Postman is like booming like anything. It's good always to know a tool. It's not that you need to, pushed into API testing or automation as such. It's always good to know a tool and get alongside with the trend that's happening in the market. Every day you are getting tools in and out. Today it's Postman, tomorrow it will be something else. So it's always good to know the technology that is available right now. So now if you want to move from a manual to experienced goal, here two things are there. One is like trending tools that you need to know. Another thing is about the mindset. Normally if you ask certain manual testers, let me put it in that phrase, manual testers, they just say that it's just expected out versus actual, and they'll just be doing what is given to them. They'll not talk to the developers, they'll not talk to the BAs or they'll not talk to the clients, to get out their queries. So my advice here is like, if you are an experienced guy, you should, talk to people. You should raise as much as questions as you can to the product that you're going to evaluate. It's not just up with the expected. If a requirement is given to you, just go with the requirement, frame certain scenarios. And okay, if the scenario is like passing with all your expectation, okay, this is like signed off, give a green signal. No, it's not like that. You should change that mindset.
Yep.
Explore the product more. Try to connect with people. Connect with people, I mean, BA. Talk to the BA. They know the requirement very well. They would have taken the requirements directly from the client. Talk to them. Get as much as queries as you can from them. Change your mindset of just following to one track. Don't be a horse going in one direction. Try to see around, try to interact with people, gain as much as knowledge as you can about the product that you're working, so that you'll be subject expert in that area, and you can test your product in a very effective manner. So these are the two things I would advise for an experienced guy. One is like, know the tools which is upcoming in the market, get yourself acquainted with that, just to be be with the market. Not that you need to go into automation from manual. I'm not saying that. Just gain the knowledge as much as you can. Second thing is, change your mindset. It's not pure of going like a horse in one direction. Look around, explore as much as you can, ask questions to the BA, explore the product that is in front of you, think of as much scenarios as much as you can. That's the two things my advice will be. Yeah.
I think that was pretty comprehensive. Some really good advice. All right, we've spoken about testing. We've spoken about the very important subject of mental health. Now, some fun things to do. So I have a rapid fire for you, some questions.
Okay.
And you have 5 seconds to think of an answer. And in case of multiple choice, you will have to explain why.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
First one, I know it's possibly an easy pick, but I want to see your perspective. Okay. So idli versus poha for breakfast.
You want me to pick in one of them?
Yeah.
Is it so? I will pick idli.
I thought so, but why?
It's my all-time favorite breakfast. It's easy to digest. I am a little bit like a fitness conscious person. So I don't know. There is one saying, right? Idli is one of the healthiest breakfasts that you can have. So every day, you won't believe, like until now, my morning breakfast, it's common always. It's 2 idlis. So it's my all-time favorite breakfast. No choice.
No poha for you, even though you're a Mumbai girl, so no poha for you?
Poha would be my snack time. So it's not a regular dish that I will always prefer. Idli is all-time, but yeah.
Poha gets special treatment. Okay.
Maybe you can put it in that way.
Okay. So it is quite interesting when I ask people generally around this subject. A lot of people will say, "Hey, idli, forget everything else, forget."
Yeah.
A lot of my friends who are from Bangalore would also say the same thing. Hey, it's just idli.
And especially when I go to my hometown, that's Tirunelveli, there the idlis are very nice. Even if you make at home with all, the proper procedures and all, when you go to a proper Brahmin-oriented restaurant and have with all the sambar, it's ultimate.
Yeah, I have heard so much about the whole idli thing around Madurai and the surrounding areas. So obviously, I mean, I've heard a lot of praise, and you are just adding.
Yeah.
I have to go there and check out the idlis in that part. Okay, so weather in Malaysia or the weather in Mumbai, which one do you prefer?
I'll prefer Malaysia.
You are okay with warm temperatures or?
The temperatures are good here, Brijesh. I prefer Malaysia. Why? Because it's just because of the climatic condition over here. From morning till evening, it will be like okay type, like little bit warm and all. But evening to the night time, it will be raining. So 365 by like days in a year, you'll find here and there the drizzle is going on. So night time, it's very cool.
Oh,
So
wow.
I like the
I
climate a
didn't know
lot.
that. I did not.
Yeah, it
I
is.
I
It is.
thought it is warm throughout the.
No, 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 no. Evening time, you'll find little, maybe not that much of rain or something like that, but it will be drizzling here and there, and it will be a cool climate in the night time. I like the climate more, but if you compare Mumbai, it's just the opposite.
Yeah,
So,
Mumbai is. But nothing beats the rain in Mumbai. Okay, Mumbai rains
exactly.
are special. Mumbai rains are
Yeah.
special.
Uh,
Yeah, the traffic may stop, life may stop, but you want to get wet and wet in that rain. You actually want to enjoy the rain.
yep, yep, yep.
Yeah. So okay. So for the last question that I have,
Mm-hmm.
what is the one thing that you would like to do if you know all the companies have stopped hiring testers and no other testing jobs are available? What is the one other thing that you would like to do?
You mean apart from this IT field?
Yeah. So there are no longer any, IT companies are shut. Okay, no
Mm-hmm.
development, no testing happening.
Mm-hmm.
Then what does Gen Z do?
Actually, this has an impact for my mother. My mother is a teacher, actually. She'll be retiring in next 1 year, 2023.
Awesome.
So looking like her, like I've grown up in a teaching environment. My mom, my aunt, everyone are teachers in our family. So I always had a passion of, moving to a teaching line. Like the incident that I just spoke about, when I thought of quitting my job from IT and switching over to my higher studies, I had a plan to go in the teaching profession. So if everything gets wiped off in IT, I would surely switch to the teaching profession. Yeah.
Okay, that's teaching is one of the most noble professions on the planet, and you're passing on the knowledge, and there are some wonderful testers who are great teachers as
Yeah.
well, and the list is very long. I mean,
Yep.
James Park, Michael Bolton, Naveen, Mukesh Raghav,
Mm-hmm.
Sanjay, you know, some fantastic teachers there, some fantastic testers, and some fantastic teachers. They do both the roles equally well.
Yep. Yep.
Jyoti is
Yes.
she's an
Yes.
excellent teacher.
Jyoti.
She's
Very
an
good.
excellent
Yep.
teacher, and she's a strict one too, but but it's fun. Okay, sitting in her class is fun. Okay, and so yeah, and, and the reason why I remember this is because in
Mm-hmm.
55 minutes her session will start. So yeah. Anyways, so I want to come back to again the topic of testing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now one question that I've always wanted to ask people and I've not asked, and probably I'll ask you: how do you convince the management about the value of testing?
A complicated question at the end. It's not an easy task, Brajesh, that's for sure. Because even in your meetings as well, be it a requirement meeting or anything as such, when a tester speaks, it's normally like not treated that much of valuable. That's far truth in any of the meetings that attend in your company. That's very true. When it comes to convincing that testing is equally important to a management, it's a very challenging task. And I had faced this scenario, not in the current company, in my previous company. There was a project where they were saying that there's no need of testing. Let's develop it, do one round of unit testing, and just release it to the production, because the timeline was very short. And we testers from our testers gang, I was there in the meeting, and management, everybody was there, and it was a critical project though, and we need to finish it off within a very short time framework. And this scenario was there in front of us, and everybody was saying, okay, we can skip testing. Why to spend time in that? I was like listening to them for a few minutes. Then I just popped up and I told them, why do you say that it's not needed? Why do you treat testing as so cheap, or maybe, you give less importance to it? Why do you think in that manner? They said like it's waste of time. This was the statement I got. I got angry and I told them, you don't say that. Are you sure that your unit testing, if it's passing and if the product goes in production, will it be 100% like fine? I'm not saying that testing will uncover all the defects that's there in the product, but at least you can release your project satisfied quality level to the client. But
Yeah.
you're not giving that quality to your client. How confident will you be facing the client after, if this project is going out, and luckily if you say there's no defect, it's okay. And when the end user is using it and he's having some bugs or something like that, that client won't come back to you, right? Your image will be spoiled, and there are so many other factors in that. Ultimately it's a loss for the company. Then my manager was like looking stunned at me for a few minutes because I was the only one speaking very in my face, everything turned off, and he was looking at me. Is this the same Gen Z I was looking 2 days back, who was very silent, and right now you're like, your face is turned so harsh? So I said, no, this is not the right way of releasing a product to production just by doing the unit testing. It's wrong. Then he took me to an one-on-one meeting. I just poured in my thoughts like, no, this is not right. You have to do it because you cannot face the client after a bug is coming to the production. It You might have seen in other projects, but you will have reasons like saying that it was a miss in the testing. That's the reason. But if you're not releasing, you're not doing any testing, you will not have a valid evidence as well that you have done the testing. Then only the product was released. So ultimately everything will be in your head. Then he was like, okay, fine. That was a scene. So this was one scenario that I faced.
Absolutely. I think this is a good one for people coming with this question always. How do I convince my management? This is one part. The other part is, how do I convince the management about the value of automation and the fact that 100% automation is not possible?
Yes, yes, yes.
So how will you do that? How will you, if I'm your manager, how will you convince me that 100% automation is not possible? Gen Z, I want you to do 100% automation.
That's not, I will frankly say that it's not possible.
Why?
And with a single tool, you want your test data to be ready. You want your test scripts to be ready. You want the test results also to be in a very, the presentable manner. Everything cannot be automated. It's not that easy to, do it, or a tool doesn't be feasible to do all these, packages in one go. So somewhere or the other, maybe.
Sit and write code. I have no problem.
But still, it's not possible for me. I cannot do that. I will see. I'll straight away say them this thing, because if you want me to do a repetitive task and there the tool can be used, it's okay. Let's say if I need to create a test data and there a huge set of data is needed in order to test my application, and there basically manual work is not possible. Okay, I can use automation. Insight of that in that area, I will try to reuse that. Coding part, yes, it's all about the test data. That one example I gave, you can do automate that stuff. That's purely okay. When it comes to UI based, where some manual work is off needed, where a tool cannot do it, I have to do it manually. You cannot, force me to do that by a tool, writing a script or something. Maybe when it comes to the report part, execution, after your execution, you need to generate multiple reports to multiple people. That time in that area, if automation is needed, yes, I agree with you, we need to perform that, because there are multiple tasks around there as well. And to make it more presentable, if the look and feel looks good via a script or some browsers or something like that, okay, our automation is accepted that in that area. But complete automation, no, it's not possible. That would be my reply.
I think that is a very comprehensive reply. And of course, this is a problem in the industry, that a lot of managers believe that 100% automation can be done. Although the experts keep telling that no, it is not possible. No, it is not possible, but still there is belief. And then there is one more fancy thing, that automation is only limited to converting manual test cases into test scripts. That's one thing. I do not know what manual test cases are. but still there is a term, and that is one mindset. The other mindset is, uh, you start building your framework, everything will fall in place. How is that even possible?
Exactly.
Okay. And then they come back and say, after a week, they'll come back and say, ready with your framework? Are you ready with your framework? so,
Exactly.
so, I mean, I don't know how to put it, but it's probably the lack of education about testing that causes this.
Yeah, people don't know basically, like if they're talking about automation, they don't know in which area to fit this automation.
Correct.
That's the only thing which is lagging in industry. They seems like automation, okay, fine, from end from A to Z, everything should be combined as automation. But they don't know it's not that way automation. You don't know only in one area automation can work fine. It's not that you can put it in all the areas of testing. People don't understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, and a great example came from none other than James Bach. So when
Mm-hmm.
he was one of the judges for the So You Think You Can Test contest, and so he also obviously wanted to test the product to
Okay.
see what kind of bugs it has, because when the results
Mm-hmm.
come in, then he'll have something to compare and find out. Okay, so quite interestingly, he focused on data quality tests, and he
Mm-hmm.
automated the whole thing. Okay, and
Okay.
a lot
Okay.
of people think in their mind James is probably anti-automation. Okay, but he was the only one, not the contestants, but he was the only one who actually took an attempt of automating in the project. No contestant did that. He was the only one who did that. And guess who
Okay.
was the most impressed?
Mm-hmm.
It was Naveen, who was the most impressed. Okay, because
Okay.
Naveen was
Uh-huh.
also another judge, and
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
Naveen looked at James's automation and he was like, wow, cool. How did you do it? He said, I used Perl. Simple. Nobody thinks of
Mm-hmm.
using Perl. He
Hmm.
did that. He wrote a Perl script, a 50-line script. That is it. And he did automation, and he was able to reproduce the result that the winner,
Mm-hmm.
Moushimi, she
Mm-hmm.
produced.
Mm-hmm.
The exact
Mm-hmm.
same result he was able to reproduce using his automation.
Wow.
shows
Okay.
shows that automation, if it is used effectively, if you
Mm,
know
mm,
how to do it, if you have some knowledge
mm-hmm.
of programming,
Mm.
okay, and you don't have to know any of those fancy tools from the market, you can achieve a
Exactly.
lot
Mm, mm,
to your and that is exactly to your point.
mm,
Okay, and people have to understand this, that and this is coming from Soumya Mukherjee, our good friend. He keeps on
mm-hmm.
telling that when you actually do a plus b in an Excel sheet, you write values and you press that
Mm,
some
mm,
button,
mm,
there is
mm.
automation happening there. That is also automation.
Exactly. Yes, true.
Okay, automation doesn't have to be some fancy tool that you spend so much on the license and then you do research and then you start you know,
Yeah.
converting a bunch of test cases into code, and then you spend half the time in troubleshooting your own code rather than looking at the product. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
finding the problem in the product, you're finding a problem or the solution in your own test code.
Mm,
So
mm.
it's it's kind of bizarre. Okay, and
Exactly.
and 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 and, and leaders are you know. Um, stakeholders or CXOs, they need some education in testing.
Mm, mm.
I would
Exactly.
advise that before you go into a level like that, you do a short course in testing and then you at least, yeah, I would seriously recommend a 15 days testing course or maybe a mini RST by James Bach or Michael Bolton, so that or do the BBST course by Cam Kainer if there is a mini version available. Okay, understand what testing is all about and then go with that mindset. Okay. No,
Yeah.
and this is one serious advice that I have for people who are, going up the ladder and they want to become, and they want to come back and say, hey, testing 100% execution. You give me 100%. It'll never be 100%. They will not understand.
Mm.
Anyways, great conversation. Good points, Jency.
Yeah.
Before you go, I think you've answered this question already, that if you were not a tester, you would be a teacher.
Yeah.
I want to end it with a different question. Now that the effects of COVID are slowly dying down, if we can actually make that claim,
Mhm.
what would be your dream holiday destination?
Maldives. It's a long time desire, actually.
Oh, yeah, blue waters. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's one beautiful place. Yeah, that's on my go-to list as well. Let's see when.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was awesome talking to you. Great conversation, great thoughts.
Same
Thank you
here,
for
Brijesh.
sharing. Thank you for sharing that big pain of yours, and those who listen will understand what it is. It was indeed a challenge. What we call as a challenge
Yes.
in career, that was indeed
Yeah.
a challenge. When you say a challenge, some people say, oh, I had to shift cities, or I had to change work timing. That is not a challenge. Come on.
That's not it.
This
Exactly.
is what a
Exactly.
challenge is. And if people who are listening to only this part of the conversation, rewind back and see what Jency said as a part of this challenge. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. That was great. And once again, congratulations for coming out of it and coming out in such a strong manner. And a huge round of applause for your husband for supporting you the way he has
Yeah.
done.
Yes, exactly.
Great conversation. I'm sure
Thank you so
people
much,
who
Brijesh. Yeah.
listen to this episode will realize that this was a totally different episode of Test to Speak.
Yeah. One thing I would like to highlight here, Brijesh, since this will be like in YouTube, I would like to advise people like who are facing this, mental health problem with the toxic society or maybe toxic IT industry. My advice to them will be like, be bold enough to speak. If somebody is like saying, I made a mistake of not speaking at that point of time. I was down at that point of time and decided to quit my job. But I would recommend people, or I would like to advise people, be bold enough to speak when you're in that situation. Don't let yourself down. Speak up, whatever thought it is there. And if you feel that environment is toxic for you, face it and leave that place. That's what I would say.
Yep.
Don't stress yourself to be there for what kind of reasons it will be. Change the environment. That's like I would advise the people to do that.
Yep. Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jency, for those really kind words.
Yeah.
Cool talking to you. The conversation is never over at Test to Speak.
Exactly.
I should soon plan for a chapter 2 and then invite you again on the show. So
Sure,
thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the invite, Brijesh. Thank you so much. Yeah.